Welcome to Artifacts, the show on City Cable 34 in which we talk about the arts. This is going to be a magic show.
Stay with us. Welcome everybody, this is Artifacts, and as Phil said, this is where we feature news and views on the arts and artists in the metro area. From visual arts, literature, theater and dance to music, film and video, and everything in between. Why, on this show alone, we've got dancers, a musician, an arts critic, and a magician. All in one show. It's gonna be great. I'm Janet Zahn, the coordinator of the Office of Film, Video, and Recording for the City of Minneapolis.
And I'm Phill Lindsay. I also work for the City of Minneapolis, and we love having people come on here and talk about the arts and related issues. So we'll be back right after we take a look at a clip from the Bravo Network. They came to town recently and did what they call an arts break about the Minneapolis area. So we'll take a look at that and come right back with our first guest from the Ethnic Dance Theater.
Minneapolis, St. Paul, is like the fourth largest cultural and arts center in the United States. People don't know that. They think about Minneapolis and St. Paul and think this is some winter, tundra where everybody freezes to death and stays inside all winter long, and it's just not the case.
Hi, I'm Suzette Charles for Bravo's Arts Break. Today we're visiting the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, a metro area with a world-renowned symphony, art museum, and theater company. The Minnesota Orchestra played host to Bravo for a special concert featuring AGOA, the orchestra's musical director designate.
And that was a clip from the Bravo Arts Break, and later on in this show we'll see another clip from it. I really just wanted folks that are viewing this show to have a chance to see a little bit of what they came to town to do, and we might talk about that piece that they did a little bit later. And now I have two wonderful people as guests who are wonderfully costumed. They're from the Ethnic Dance Theater. We have Jonathan Fry, who is an artistic director there, and Julia Weiler, who's a dancer there and has danced in other ensembles over the years. So welcome. Thank you for joining us on the show.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
And before we go on and learn a little bit more about the Ethnic Dance Theater, which is a venerable institution now here in the Twin Cities, let's talk about these costumes, which are just knockout. Why don't we start here? And I guessed right, but I'm not sure I have the right pronunciation. It's an Uzbeki costume?
Yes.
From what people would call Uzbekistan.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Tell us what you're wearing.
From, this was a very old dance that was done in the courts of the Emir. And so it's very colorful and elaborate. And the crown, of course, with the golden brow across here. And the name of the golden brow
They call it Tilyakosh in the Uzbek language. It means golden brows, and it's a sign of beauty. In that culture, they often will draw their eyebrows together as well, something that we find unusual because in our culture, we pull the hairs out that are between our eyebrows. But they like to draw them together.
Right, and with the way those dangle, I don't know if the cameras can get in close enough, but there's movement there as well as the color and the sparkle, and then this wonderful motley of color here.
Not
and I
only
see you
that,
braided your
but
hair for
braids.
this show.
Oh, I did. I made 6 braids, as a matter of fact. So.
Great. And this is an actual costume that you wear while performing that particular dance.
Right. And even though it is not ancient in its actual age, it comes from costumes that were produced, or dress that was produced 1,000 years ago.
Yes, it's very old. The fabrics itself and the jewelry did come from Uzbekistan. That material is silk. And
this actual,
it's a silk charmeuse type fabric. And when you purchase it, it's interesting because it comes in only 24 or 26-inch widths, so you need many, many yards to make a garment. And because these people are Islamic, she has trousers on underneath as well.
Do you actually?
Yes.
Yeah, that match.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And that's part of that cultural tradition.
That's right.
I mean, understanding.
That's right.
And I see you brought your handcrafted Uzbeki shoes.
My red shoes, of
There we
course.
go.
Must have
always.
red shoes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And
yes.
Jonathan, what are you wearing that looks Eastern European?
Oh, it's very, very typical Eastern European shape. This costume came from the villages that are around Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, and I purchased this on my first trip to Europe in 1970, which is why I wore it today, to kind of celebrate the fact that we've been around for 20 years now.
You sure have.
Right, and if it's all handmade, hand-woven linens. The coat was typically decorated by tailors in the village, but the fabric was all hand-pressed wool made at home,
So
and the
all
finishing
this
touches done by hand.
detail is really done by hand.
Right, right. The fabrics are all hand-woven.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you.
And I must say, they both look comfortable in which to dance, which must be a
They're
criteria.
suited to the dancing that they do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, you bought that for yourself. Was this made for you, your particular
Yes,
costume?
yes,
Okay.
these were all made for the women.
Okay, so costuming is a big part of the ethnic dance theater.
Absolutely, yep.
Serious
Yep.
research goes into
And
it.
John is our real expert or authority.
It's been a real point of interest for me, as much as the dancing and the folklore and the culture for years, but the costumes have always been, it's such an illustration of what the cultures are like and the people are like, and I've always liked historical fashion, and even when I was a little kid, my parents would find me pouring through encyclopedias and National Geographics looking at this, and they thought, well, we'll have to find something for this that will I'll fall into alignment with this kid, you know, so he can fulfill his interests. And then sure enough, eventually I discovered folk dance.
Well, now you mentioned in 1970 you went off to Europe and you knew you wanted this, and then just a couple years later, you and a partner founded the Ethnic Dance Theater.
In 1974,
Right.
yes, we founded the Ethnic Dance Theater, Donald, of course, and myself. Mhm.
Sure. Now, for those who don't know, and I'm sure some people that are watching are unfamiliar with the Ethnic Dance Theater, what is it, what's your mission, and where do you display all this wonderful raiment and the dancing?
Well, our mission is to foster understanding and awareness of world cultures through music, dance, and the arts of those particular cultures. And that's what we endeavor to do, primarily with our performing. We perform here in the Twin Cities. Our major concerts are at O'Shaughnessy in the spring and part of Zomerfest in the summer here in Minneapolis. And we also have a young audience group that works in the schools, demonstrating, performing, working with the kids, so there's an educational aspect of the company. And the choir just did a concert at Landmark Center back in May. So we're pretty active around here, and we also tour.
Wow. And it's a large ensemble.
Yes.
In a few minutes, we're going to see a clip that you're kind enough to bring.
Great.
And in any given production number or dance, there are a lot of you there. How big is the ensemble at any one time?
The full company is about 45 artists right now, so that would make around 26 dancers, 8 musicians, and 8 to 10 vocalists.
Wow. I think a number of folks who may be familiar with the dance theater are unaware that the choral aspect is important as well.
It's all integrated into our programming, and all of the music. We have a wonderful group of musicians that I just thank my lucky stars for, that are well versed in many different folk instruments and play a lot of musical styles, and they're the backbone of our concerts. The music is all live for both dance and song.
Yeah. And there are enough people here in the Minneapolis Twin Cities area to fill out your dancing roster and your musical ensembles and all that. I mean,
We seem to have good turnout when we have auditions annually, and we always seem to find, when we need to replace folks, we always seem to have wonderful turnouts. And so,
how do you choose the dances? Where do you go and find those? Or when you set a season, I guess you probably decide you're going to do a handful of different dances.
we often will plan ideas out 3 years in advance, and then take a look at what's realistic according to what the personnel is, what the instrumentalists, what the skill of the dance corps is like, and what we can realistically approach at a time. So that's why long-range planning is really necessary. We take a look at what's needed variety-wise, what we're interested in, and what we feel is a relevant thing, art form to show at the time. And all those are components that go into making choices. And then it often involves research trips or bringing in teachers from abroad, which means you have to write grants and proposals. And then, so it's really a long-range thing. You have to have costumes ordered and built over there. And instruments have to be made very often. And so it's an elaborate thing to get a work together.
That's one of the real values of ethnic dance theater, I think, is its authenticity when it comes to styling of dance, when it comes to costuming. All these things contribute to presenting an authentic piece, but it's kind of difficult for the dancers who are attempting to dance in the styles of many different cultures and learn that piece maybe within just a few short months even, and having people come from other cultures and these other styles to actually teach them are very, very helpful. But that's one of the challenges of the group too. There are a lot of I think, ethnic groups in the Twin Cities that focus just on one particular culture. But trying to do the whole scope of it is a challenge.
The concerts I've seen that you've done, I mean, it's worldwide. I mean, I've seen some
Right.
from the Far East as well as Eastern Europe and America. You've done some from these shores as well.
As
Yes.
well.
Well, there are more questions I want to ask, but I wondered if we could maybe see the tape you were nice enough to
Okay.
bring, and maybe you could just set us up for a moment. What is it we're about to see? This is a recent production?
It's a recent. This is from the spring concerts at the end of March at O'Shaughnessy as a kickoff to our 20-year anniversary celebration. And this work is choreographed by the now current artistic director for the Hungarian State Ensemble. It comes from a village called Vajdakamaraş in Transylvania. So they're Hungarian people living in Transylvania. It was probably one of the most long-term undertakings that we have worked on for a long time. It's a great deal of satisfaction is derived from this piece. When you see it, I think
And the
you'll
name of it
understand
is?
why. Vajdakamaraši Táncok.
Okay, here it is. Take a look. Jonathan, as we were watching that, you said a friend of yours described that as a...
Said it was a birthday party on Mars, and I'm still scratching my head over that comment because it doesn't appear to be Martian at all to
I
me.
didn't
It's
see a
in
cake, so I don't know what that was. Now that was where, at O'Shaughnessy?
Right.
That's right.
Do you guys have any favorite venues? I've often thought for a long time that in the Twin Cities we don't have an excellent dance space. We have a lot of good ones. And for the nature of what you do, which needs a lot of space, you know, a full stage house, are there any favorite places for you?
Yeah, I think the favorite place for the company, and this is what I sort of learned later on, was O'Shaughnessy, because it's an intimate theater, so that people can be close enough to get the feel and the essence of the dances, and not be so far away, yet it's big enough to
Get everybody out there.
to get everybody out there, right?
Sure.
Right, yeah.
But that is, we all really do enjoy. The only thing we don't love about O'Shaughnessy is the floor is a little bit unforgiving on the feet, but you get used to it, and we know that it's otherwise it's so ideal for showcasing the company.
Yeah.
And we love Orchestra Hall as well. We don't have as much magic with lighting there because it's not that type of
It's
a
not set up
facility.
for that.
No.
But I love it. I mean, and we have a wonderful success every year. It's been 10 years now that we've been appearing at Summerfest.
Well, great segue, because this month, July, you folks are going to be part of Summerfest again. Can you
Right.
give us a little preview of what we'd see over there? What the program is?
Sure. The date is July 17th. It's a Sunday evening at 7. And what's on the menu for that night is a piece from the Bucharest area of Romania. It's a very exciting electric piece. Singers are doing a wedding ritual from Central Russia. We have the Uzbeki and Tajiki dances from Central Asia. We call them dances of the Silk Route. A dance from Bosnia called Kolo iz Glamocha. It's a dance without music. It's a little bit somber and heavy, but interesting, very interesting. These dances from Transylvania that you just saw. We have a dance of the red silk ribbons from China. A suite from northern Mexico, the Fiesta Norteña. We have also a wonderful finale. It's very nostalgic for some of us that have been around all these years. It's from the Appalachian Americans. It takes place during Depression America at a barn dance.
Oh, what a wonderful program.
Right.
You know,
Bring us right back home.
Our time is virtually up, and I wanted to ask you other serious issues like when you bring in dances from parts of the world that are so troubled, if that's a special issue for you folks?
Well, it can be. That's an interesting thing to ask, because you get really invested in the culture when you start pursuing it. So you care about it, you start cooking the foods. Usually, if you've worked with people over there, you have some kind of a kinship. I don't want to think of things in terms of politics, but I do think it's really wonderful when the world is blurring its identities and things are so out of control, to provide a little bit of international sanity and show them some of the most positive aspects of their tradition, and that's the folk art.
Sounds like a good mission. I want to thank you both for being on. Look forward to seeing you at Summerfest. Jonathan, thanks.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Pleasure to
It
be
was
here.
Julia, nice to see you.
Thanks a lot.
And we'll be back in just a moment. Actually, Janet will be back with Willie Wisely to talk about the Icebreaker 94. But stay tuned for this.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Janet Zahn, and with me today is Mr. Willie Wisely.
Hello, Janet.
Hi. Thanks for coming over.
You're welcome.
Willie is a musician first, I think, with the Willie Wisely Trio. And you also work at First Avenue, and you are the president of the Minnesota Music Academy.
That is correct.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Pretty busy.
Yeah, just crazy. Tell me about, just for people who don't know about the Minnesota Music Academy, what is it and what is their mission in life?
The Music Academy was founded in 1985 to more judiciously administer the Minnesota Music Awards, which had been going on in the City Pages magazine for some time. The board got together and founded a fair way to vote and a large voting college, and it soon became apparent that a mission of equal importance might be to help educate musicians about the business of music, and consequently we began a program of seminars and workshops that blossomed into a full-fledged event called Icebreaker, which happens every summer, that includes showcases, seminars, and of course the Minnesota Music Awards party.
And this year, Icebreaker, and from my estimation, is really back as just a really wonderful, action-packed 3 days. You got a lot of stuff going, and I thought, because there's so much good stuff happening, I want to make sure people know what this is all about and what it is that you're doing. So I thought we could kind of just go through the days. It's starting on Thursday, July 7th.
That is correct.
And if I were going to go to this thing, the first thing I'd want to do, I believe, is buy a laminate, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we have dozens of events, and what we've done is make them all free to those folks that have a laminate. And the people that are nominated for awards and stuff automatically get one, and they're on sale to the general public for a mere $11.
And this gets you into the whole deal, 3 days worth of stuff.
The whole shaboo, yeah. Well over $100 worth of cover charges at bars and stuff. You could see hundreds of bands, and well, over 100 bands and over a dozen showcases.
And for $11.
All for $11. And it buys you a membership to the Minnesota Music Academy, which allows you to vote.
And get the newsletter, and you'll be more aware of all that stuff that you're doing.
That is correct.
Okay. And where do you get the laminates?
Laminates are available starting at the end of this week, which is roughly June. What date is it? About the 25th, about June 25th.
Yeah.
There we go. I think that's Friday. The laminates will go on sale at independent record stores around town: Northern Lights, Electric Fetus, Garage Door, or Folk Jokopus, Let It Be, Roadrunner, Aardvark, among others down in the Valley stores.
Yeah. So just wherever you're buying music.
Yes, at the indie record stores. Yes.
Cool. Thursday night, the 7th, big show at First Avenue.
Indeed. Doc Severinsen headlines the Minnesota Music Awards party, the awards ceremony at First Avenue. And this is where we reveal the winners. The votes are in, and the nominating committee has produced their secret report, so I guess we know who won already, and it's just a matter of presenting it at the awards party on the 7th. and these are for accomplishments by local musicians in the 1993 year.
Lots of different categories.
Tons of different categories, 50 different categories, including film and video, and in music-related shows, but also awards for single, instruments and players of instruments, and then awards to best bands, best artists, and different categories of music as well.
And your host for the evening, besides Doc, is?
Yeah, Doc Severinsen headlines, but Liz Winstead, our favorite hometown comedian of HBO and Comedy Channel fame, is going to MC the event, and she's going to usher everybody on and off of stage, and there will be tons of local celebrities doing award presentations and fun stuff like that. And there's going to be a whole lineup of local players. Playing with Doc Severinsen will be Captain Jack McDuff. We're proud to have him as a resident of Minnesota, a luminary jazz figure. And but also Jelly Bean Johnson and a band of his cohorts will be ending the evening, as well as performances by Cherokee Rose, a country and western oriented group, and Red Groovy, a techno dance oriented group, and many others, and possibly other large stars. There's a chance that Sounds of Blackness are going to perform, and so I'm waiting for that
Keeping
confirmation.
your fingers crossed?
Oh, I hope they can.
Yeah, yeah. There's also, just want to mention briefly, there's kind of this fun thing that you do called the Found Art Awards for the people that win Minnesota Music Awards. Tell us about that.
The Found Art Awards are something that was thought up at a meeting where everyone was just bored of going to the trophy store. No one wanted to go to the trophy store and buy 50 awards for each category. And we just figured the best way to do it would be to be creative, to get perhaps some kids involved or something like that. Well, last year we had students make the awards, and that was real cute. This year we had an artist come to us, Bill Slack, a local artist, and he said he wanted to make a piece of art out of found contributions from the people that were musicians that were nominated for awards. So all our nominees, most of them sent back pieces of found hubris, if that's a word, and he is going to make a collage piece out of it, and then cut that collage piece into 50 units, and each one will be given away as a separate award to a winner in an individual category.
Yeah, unique awards and a fun award ceremony. Boy, it really sounds fun. And again, what a deal for $11. I mean, even if you just went to this thing,
yeah,
you just don't see that kind of talent for that kind of money.
No kidding. It will be a lot of fun and very star-studded if you're into that. But more than anything, it's just acknowledging a vibrant and vast statewide music scene. I mean, it's compelling. With my musical group, I'm able to tour the nation, and things like this don't happen in every state. They don't, no way. They happen on the coasts,
Right.
We live in a unique environment,
Right.
artistically.
Friday and Saturday, the fun continues. Friday night first. What's going on? That's showcase night, mostly.
Yes, showcases begin on Friday and continue through Saturday, and that's depending on what night it is. It's 7 to 9 venues located, I think, entirely in Minneapolis, where the MMA is going to run shuttles to and fro, back and forth to each venue, shuttling people around that have laminates. Laminates get you in for free, they get you on the shuttle for free, and you can bar hop all night, for lack of a better term, I guess. You can bar hop all night long and see as many bands as you can possibly cram in to one evening.
Minnesota musicians.
And the bars have cooperated graciously and booked only local talent, and it's that should just be a gas. And for someone like myself, who has trouble getting out to see all the music I should, it'll be a great fun night to just soak in a lot of music.
Yeah, and then Saturday, the showcases continue Saturday night also, but you have some good seminars Saturday afternoon?
Yes, as part of our educational priority, the Minnesota Music Academy, the MMA, stages an afternoon of seminars, always in conjunction with the Icebreaker festivities. This year, they are occurring at the Downtown Hilton in Minneapolis, the new hotel. And I don't have a room number on that yet, but there's 3 seminars. One is care and use of the voice, and the Voice Center will be making a presentation. They'll use a video presentation of vocal cords actually working, which is at best, a disgusting maneuver to watch. And they'll show defective vocal cords. It's very interesting. And then there will be a panel discussion with local singers, people that use their voices in different ways, including a radio disc jockey, a commercial singer, and a hard rock singer, things like that. And then the second of the 3 seminars will be what's it called? The State of Rock Criticism in the Age of MTV. Is rock criticism, music criticism, is it a dead art? And that'll feature local writers. And the third and final seminar will be indie labels, the land of 10,000 indie labels. There are a lot of independent record labels in this town that are giving birth to a lot of the talent of tomorrow, and it's always worthwhile to hear these business people talk about what they go through. There's one last, it's a workshop called the Demo Demolition. The venue changes for that, and by now we're at 6 o'clock, and that will be on Saturday the 9th again, but it'll be at First Avenue. And the Demo Demolition is where we get a panel of experts, publishers, radio people, this sort of thing, and people pay $5 to submit their cassette, and it's publicly listened to, and then the panel remarks on it, feeds them comments about how they could grow, how they could change, whatever. Sometimes it's very general, sometimes it's very specific, and it's very exciting for songwriters. So that's 8 hours of seminars on Saturday afternoon.
And then everybody goes out, has a great time going to the showcases, and then there's a party at the end of it all.
That's correct. You know what? We should step backwards, because also on Saturday afternoon is the outdoor festival at the Roadhouse, which is a bar on South Washington near Highway 35, and we're going to have an outdoor 8-hour-long festival featuring all local acts again, and that's free with a laminate.
Wow.
Yep.
Good deal.
And then that night, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, but
no. Well, there's a lot to ramble about. This is the whole purpose, is because I just think that you have done such a great job pulling this whole thing together. There's not, like you say, people take it for granted here a bit. That that we have all this music here, and we have these great bands, we got and such a variety and wealth of talent, and it just ain't so in every other city.
No.
Yeah.
And to try and get all these promoters and all these talented musicians to cooperate is another
That's right.
act of Congress. The act of Congress will culminate in the closing party for Icebreaker 94, which will be at Metro Studios starting at midnight.
Oh, late.
On Saturday. And we'll see you there, right, Janet?
I'll be there with bells on.
With your eyes propped open.
Yeah. Well, that is, again, like I say, a tremendous lineup, and I appreciate you for being here talking about it and for doing the deal, because I know you're the leader of this whole pack, and you're doing a great job. Yeah.
I hope that people can go out to the record stores and purchase laminates. They're $11, and you get a free membership with the MMA, and you get hundreds of dollars worth of activities this weekend and year-round through other concert events that we throw all year round.
Yeah.
It's quite a deal, and check the record stores, please.
Yeah, and city pages too for all the bands and venues.
Yep, city pages will have information the next 2 weeks running.
Yep, great. Well, again, Minnesota Music Academy's Icebreaker 94, July 7th through the 9th. And coming up next, Phill talks with critic Roy Close right after this clip from Bravo.
We pride ourselves in the Twin Cities as being a progressive community, for whatever that means. As a conservative mayor, I say that we're progressive. I think progressive in challenging who we are and what we're all about, and who better to do that than artists and the arts community.
Our next stop is with the Children's Theater Company in Minneapolis during their production of Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. Next, we walked across the lobby to see the world-class collection at the Minneapolis Institute of Arts.
It can't just be the Guthrie Theater, the Walk, or the Minneapolis Orchestra. Those are important and critical, but as well we must reach the artists at the grassroots level and give them an opportunity to draw people in at the neighborhood.
We at Bravo hope you've enjoyed this brief tour of some of the arts organizations which make the Twin Cities such an enjoyable place to live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Suzette Charles.
And that was another look at part of the Arts Break from the Bravo Network, and we're very glad that they came to town to do that. And I, in particular, was interested in what the two mayors of St. Paul, Minneapolis had to say. So if you get a chance to see that in its entirety, please do. My next guest is Roy Close, who is a freelance writer, a critic, who's held positions with at least a couple of the major dailies here in town, and the recent author of what I consider an important book, important and informative, Critical Conditions, Arts Criticism in Minnesota in the 90s, which was, is it the right way to say it, commissioned by the Center for Arts Criticism?
It was commissioned by the Center for Arts Criticism, and they approached me to write it, and they approached me, I think, because I had been at, as you say, I worked at the Minneapolis Star throughout the 1970s, and I worked at the St. Paul Pioneer Press pretty much throughout the 80s, and so and I've also been involved with the Center for Arts Criticism since its inception. I was on their board of directors for 6 years, and I was their president for 4 years, and there I was unemployed, and they needed somebody to do this book, so they approached me and asked me if I would be willing to write it, and I did.
Sounds like a great fit.
Yes, it was.
Before we go on to some of the insight that you put into the book, quick working definition of what we mean by criticism.
Well, in the book, I refer to criticism as the act of making public judgments, evaluations about the arts and entertainment. I sometimes use an even simpler definition, which is to say it's informed comment. And I try not to be too fancy about it. I think anybody can be a critic, and it's not something that requires special expertise. It's not something that you have to go to school for 100 years to become. People are critics because they have opinions, they know something about what they're talking about, and they're willing to express them. And of course, somebody's willing to pay them for it.
And that helps a lot.
That helps a great deal.
Sure. Well, in a little bit, we're going to take a look at a roll-in that our crew did on some of the format at the Star Tribune in particular. But of course, there's a much broader context in which criticism goes on. I mean, there's the print media and the electronic media.
Correct.
And as you outline in the book, there are a lot of issues involved, and of course, there's Greater Minnesota. I want to touch on a lot of those subjects.
Sure.
Can you talk with us a little bit about the current conditions of arts criticism, cultural criticism?
I think that there are a number of things happening, but the main thing that is happening, and it seems to me the most alarming trend really is that the daily newspapers in the Twin Cities, that's in the Pioneer Press in St. Paul and the Star Tribune in Minneapolis, are really changing the nature of their coverage. There's less emphasis on the fine arts, the traditional fine arts, and there's a lot more emphasis on entertainment, particularly movies, television, and popular music. This is, of course, a reflection of the fact that that's what today's younger readers are interested in primarily. The Minnesota Orchestra, for example, is having a great deal of trouble getting young people to come to their concerts, and that's reflected in the fact that the young people who are reading the Star Tribune or the Pioneer Press are less interested in Minnesota Orchestra criticism than ever before. So in a sense, the newspapers are following the trend of what's happening in the arts community at large. But it's a very disturbing situation in terms of arts organizations because, in essence, they are being relegated more and more to a corner.
They're marginalized in a sense.
That is, in fact, a term that the critics have used to describe what they see their situation becoming.
So the working critics, including yourself, then, must have some feelings about this. After all, it's your profession.
Oh yeah. Well, it was sufficient for me to it was one of the reasons I decided to leave the profession as a full-time profession. I just really couldn't see myself getting old at the St. Paul Pioneer Press, writing reviews that went from 16 column inches to 14 column inches to 12 column inches and so forth, until basically I was writing USA Today kinds of reviews of 6 to 8 column inches. I had no desire to do that, and I felt that you really couldn't deal with the art. What's happening, of course, is that the reviews at those papers are becoming more and more consumer columns, and so this, what I call the Siskel Ebert influence.
Yeah, the thumbs up,
everybody
thumbs down
is
kind of thing.
being invited to do a thumbs up,
Yeah.
thumbs down, and there's been a lot of pressure, for example, at the Pioneer Press to get all of the critics, not just the movie critic, to put stars on the ratings.
Oh, really? Okay, it's kind of like a hotel guide or
Yes,
something.
exactly right. The idea being that the readers don't have as much time as they used to have, or as much inclination to read, say, a 20 or a 25 column-inch review. And so you give them the stars, and that way they don't really have to read the review at all.
Quick
They just-
fix?
Yeah,
Wow.
precisely. The trouble with that, it seems to me, and the point that I've tried to make in the book, is that you really end up not having in-depth writing about the arts. And if you think that the arts are important in the life of the community, you want to have your critics doing things like writing columns, say, who should the next artistic director of the Guthrie be? What kind of person should it be? Is it time that they considered a woman, and why? Is it time that they said, we're really going to look at a person of color to be the artistic director? Those are issues that really need to be discussed, and there's no better place to discuss them than in the daily
I would agree.
newspapers.
No better place there, but given the fact that that isn't happening in the mass media,
Right.
are those questions being examined anywhere? I mean, other than maybe a boardroom somewhere, hopefully?
They are being examined in alternative media, I think, but not to the extent that one would like. One of the things I discovered as I was doing the research on this book was that there's an amazing amount of interest in arts and entertainment coverage, and it's appearing all over the place. You see it in some of the ethnic publications, for example, which are weeklies and bi-weeklies, and some of them are monthlies, but things like La Prensa and Asian American Pages and Insight News, which recently started its own arts and entertainment section,
Right.
which goes out every week. And so the ethnic press is beginning to be very much more interested in the arts and entertainment than it used to be, it seems to me. I discovered that there was quite an interest in greater Minnesota, and there were some very pleasant surprises there. The newspaper in Fargo, which serves the Moorhead area, which has expanded its arts and entertainment coverage. There's a wonderful example of a newspaper in Red Wing, Minnesota, the Republican Eagle, that does a good job in its own turf of covering things at the Sheldon Auditorium and yeah, at not Mystic Lake. What's the casino down there?
Prairie Island, I think. Or
Something like that.
Yeah.
So they do a good job, and it's Treasure Island.
Treasure Island, yeah, the other one's got
right.
other problems.
But so there are alternative things. This program is a perfect example of the kind of thing that is beginning to appear. There's really not enough arts coverage, it seems to me, on commercial television, but on non-commercial television, non-commercial radio, you're beginning to see.
And I'm surprised at how
programs.
little is on the electronic media.
There really isn't as much as
Considering
as
the
there-
immediacy for audiences,
Exactly right.
and if that timeliness and that urgency is important.
So much of what appears in the newspapers and what appears on television, and even I think what you hear on radio, is determined by the numbers. And I've had some interesting conversations with the folks at KTCA, Minnesota Public Television. And even though they're a nonprofit television outlet, they too are concerned with the numbers, and there is sort of a bottom line beyond
They're
which
fighting for that existence too.
Exactly.
Let's ask our crew to put on the overview we took of some of the features in the arts and entertainment section of the Star Tribune.
Okay.
And then as we look at that, maybe you could comment a little bit on what it is, in your opinion, they're trying to do, and what your thoughts about some of those are. I know
Okay.
you're not shy about your opinions. Here we go. Front page.
Of the arts and entertainment section, which used to be called the arts and entertainment section, but is now just called entertainment. They dropped the word arts because a focus group told them that the term arts was too snooty. And so they decided not to have, you see,
Oh, yeah,
arts,
there we go.
arts is down below now, and entertainment is the big word at the top. There's Streisand, and well, there's Marianne Feldman, who's a real character.
Local
And that's
story.
a good article on the Minneapolis Institute of Arts and its turn of the century thing, exhibition. Summer Sampler, that's a sort of an expanded calendar listing, fairly typical. More calendars, more calendar.
No critical content at all, really,
No,
in there.
and Culture 101 is sort of, as the name suggests, it's a little bit of primer, but you see it's Fred Flintstone and Don Rickles and pop music and a little bit of theater there and architecture. But it's a case of sort of popularizing everything to the and not writing, seems to me, as seriously as they might, and certainly not. Well, now we are into book reviews, and it's nice that they still do book reviews, but
they looked awful short.
Yeah, right. The book reviews have gotten shorter. 8 Days Out is another big calendar, more calendar.
It's almost a pull-out section of it, front and back.
Yes. Now, I would suggest that their reader surveys probably indicate that that's what people are most interested in, or that's what most people are more interested in. But I'm a critic, and I'm a consumer of criticism, and that's not what I'm interested in. I want informed comment about the arts. I want critics who are knowledgeable, not only about what's happening here, but what's happening elsewhere, because, of course, you can't really talk about what's happening here if you don't have some point of comparison. So,
that's right.
So if you never travel, if you never go to Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles, and San Francisco, or for that matter, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Seattle, you never really have a sense of how the Guthrie compares to, say, the Seattle Rep and other regional companies, how the Minnesota Orchestra compares to the Cleveland Orchestra.
Right. So in other words, we stand vulnerable to being insular in the long term in one of the worst ways.
Yes, and the term I think that really counts is provincial.
Provincial.
And when the newspapers sort of are satisfied with doing the calendars and doing the review of the Guthrie, this show, and then next week they'll do the review of the next show at the Guthrie, and then a month later the next show at the Guthrie. And what you so seldom see is a critic like Mike Steele, who's very knowledgeable, doing a piece that says, all right, here's what the season tells us about the Guthrie.
Yes.
Mike should be writing a column every Sunday, not the Arts at Large column, which is this long, and they started with boldface, type as though it were a gossip column. They've gotten rid of that now, but it's still designed really for entry-level arts consumers.
Yeah.
And not all of us are entry-level arts consumers, and there are plenty of people who are serious about the arts. And if the arts make a difference in our quality of life in the Twin Cities, somebody needs to treat them seriously.
Yeah. And if not here, the question is where.
Yeah, exactly right.
We've got about 1 minute or less left. Hopeful about the future? What's the outlook?
Well, I'm never terribly unoptimistic or never terribly pessimistic about the future. I think the newspapers remain, potentially very, very strong venues for the arts coverage. However, I say in the book, and I do think that it's very important for the arts organizations to start taking things into their own hands. If they're serious about having serious criticism, the arts organizations themselves and the arts community itself needs to do something about creating new venues, supporting things like this program, whatever it might be.
There you have Roy Close. He's issued the challenge, and he's given you at least a couple of steps to go.
Yeah.
Roy, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I'd like to have
Thanks
you
for
back
having
on.
me. I'd be delighted to
Keep
come back.
updating us on this sort of thing.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
great.
One last question.
Yes.
How do people get hold of the book?
They can get it by ordering it from the Center for Arts Criticism, which is located at 2402 University Avenue West in St. Paul. It's also in the St. Paul phone directory.
Okay.
It's the Center for Arts Criticism. Costs $10 a copy, and it's
For anybody that cares about the arts in the metropolitan Twin Cities area, I really recommend it. It's a good read.
Thank you.
If nothing else. Now, we'll be
That's
back.
good review, even though it was a short one.
Short one, it's succinct, that's right. Thank you. As the first review I ever gave. We'll be back in a moment with a special guest, Magical Mystical Michael. He's actually going to do some magical effects right here. But first, we're going to have our short events calendar, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. So please, when you're watching Artifacts, watch with a paper and pencil. Write down those events, and please attend some of these events. They're great here in the Twin Cities. Now, we promised you magic in this show, and we've got magic in the form of magical, mystical Michael. This is a guy who's popping up all the time. There he is.
Hey.
Michael, nice
Good
to see you.
Good to see you again, yes.
Boy, this guy used to kill audiences out at the Renaissance Festival, and then, of course, my old act would come up, and we'd have to mop up the pieces. Welcome back to the Twin Cities.
I'm ecstatic to be here.
You're static? The hair's looking good.
It's one of those hair days.
So is that your real name, Michael, I mean?
Michael? Yes, I wouldn't make that up.
No, not a name like that. So now, you came to town to do the Fringe Festival, which by the time most people are watching the show is history, but welcome back.
Well, it gave me a good excuse to get back.
Yeah, had you been back prior to that?
No, it's been 10 years.
Wow.
And I've wanted to come back within the last 4 or 5 years, but life got in my way.
Yeah.
It happened.
You've been busy.
Yeah, actually. I've been busy. I've had good points and I had low points. I went through an experimental part in the mid-'80s with my show. And so I wasn't working a lot. I was more experimenting and trying new things. And so my show, I felt, the quality of it went down just a taste because there was a lot of new things. But from all those times of experimenting, this last 2 years, I was working out of a club in the winter upstate New York. And it gave me an opportunity to do all that stuff over and over.
Yeah.
And that is what this show I just did at the Fringe was about.
That's great.
It's
So new
accumulations.
effects you're talking about.
Actually, since I've been in the cities, probably almost the whole show is new, maybe 3/4 new.
Let's do a quick primer. We just talked with Roy Close, who's a critic here in town, about Culture 101. Let's do a quick primer for people about magic. There's what's called table magic, which is close-up stuff.
Close magic. Close magic is actually harder to do than stand-up stage stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're right there.
People are seeing every move you're making.
So it's tough. And that's what I was doing up at that club. And actually I got a little better at it because, over the years I've had a couple of pocket tricks and I pull off a few here and there and I always get by with it. But when I started doing it all the time, I noticed I was not that good at it.
Yeah.
But then I got better at it from doing it a lot.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy doing close-up now. I still do more, my show is more stand-up, small stage.
Yeah.
I'm doing something nice though. I am floating the person in the audience now.
Now, what do they call that? That's a big trick. What do they call that? That's
well, you could call
large
it
effect.
a lot.
Yeah.
You're looking for the word illusion, but I'm not going to say
You're
it.
not going to say that.
No.
Okay. All right. No. What motivated you as you grew up where? New York?
In New York City.
What got you? How old were you when you decided you wanted to be a magician?
Well, it's interesting. You say decided. I never decided I wanted to be a magician.
Okay.
In New York, I never really did magic. Every time I would go into a magic shop, which I remember having a little urge about magic, a curiosity, they would sell me like plastic throw-up, loads.
Oh, these are great magic tricks.
And invisible ink.
Yeah.
So I did that as a youth.
I could sell you some of that right now.
I bet you could.
You'll never see it.
But actually, I was in Colorado at about 22, and I saw this magician do something at this college I was working in Boulder, and he didn't really do much for me, but I saw him do a magical thing, and then I saw he was talking, I slid something in his pocket, and that got me. And I said, well, what could he have put in his pocket? And actually, that's what got me involved, because the next couple of days I went downtown in Boulder and I bought that trick I saw him do.
I was going to ask you, how does somebody learn this stuff? I mean, magicians are rather guarded about their craft, their art, their talent.
It's interesting you say that. It's a performing art, and it's a secretive performing art, but it's got the most written information about it.
Is that right?
It not only tells you how to do it, it tells you what to say, what fingers to move, how to think about it, how to look at the audience, how to dress, how to stand.
No kidding.
I mean, there's incredible details.
Well, here, let me show you some things. I brought you my magic books, all right?
Oh, you're a magic book.
No, I'm not a magician,
That's all right.
though. Okay, now this is strictly for amateurs, which is kind of the league I'm in, so you probably don't even look at that book.
131 magic tricks for amateurs.
Yeah.
Will Dexter.
Is that a name?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Okay. It's got the illustration, but it doesn't tell you what to wear or anything like that. Now this here is the magic book. He's laughing. He's laughing. See?
I love it.
Yeah, do you? It's a nice lurid
It's like a
cover.
circus.
Yeah, well, sideshow, Okay. Now, inside here, I'll have you know, I found this, I don't know how this got in here. It was like magic. This is a list of some of the illusions, no, bad word, the effects that you can actually go out and you can buy. Here are prices here.
That's right, but look
So
at those
this-
prices.
Well, this is probably an '07 price list here.
$50. Is that something you're going to experiment to see if you want it, or you want to spend $50 and know a secret?
Yeah.
See there?
Yeah.
See, effects and stuff cost money. If they didn't, everybody would
Yeah.
be more interested.
Everybody'd be doing it.
But you know, in reality, there's libraries, and you go to a library and learn a whole lot.
Serious?
But it's also effort. That
Yeah.
means you have to take time out of your day and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so more people would like to come up to me and say, well, how does this work? And they want to hear an answer.
Yeah.
And that's very simple.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is why no one tells anyone. Anything you want to know, you can know.
Yeah.
We're in that kind of a world today.
You're going to show us some effects. Let's start with one right now.
Okay, I'll show you
I'll
something.
clear the decks.
I'll show you one of my little close things, if
Yeah.
I could do it. I'm going to do something with some coins, since everybody knows about coins. And these are actually older coins. These are all from the 1945s. They're walking liberties.
From the 1945s, you say?
From 1945, yeah. This is when our country invested in our country. What a concept. Huh?
Wow. I don't think I'm old enough to remember that.
Well, I'm not,
No,
but
neither are you.
I remember the silver coins in my
Yeah.
life, though. In the 60s, it's kind of, 64 was the last year of silver quarters.
Yeah.
So you know that, a little
All right.
nostalgia. Here, a little warm-up to get the coin warmed up. Watch this. This is just close stuff. Hang on. Watch this. Hi. This one's for you. You ready? Watch.
Oh.
I lied. It was for me.
Yeah, that's great.
I want to show you something else now. Here's a little cup. You can check it out. It's my Uncle Louis.
I think his fingerprints are on there.
May he rest in peace. Uncle Louis at night used to soak his eyeball.
Here?
Yeah, we used to shake it around and go, here's looking at you, Louis. One day it fell out in an olive bowl. Boy, was it tough finding the right olive. So what I'm going to use 4. You had to think about that one.
I did.
I'll use 4 coins. I'm going to use Uncle Louis' cup. Watch this. Watch this. Yeah. You didn't check the bottom out.
Well, that's amazing.
Hey, you got 1, 2, 3 left. You gotta watch this. Watch this. Behind my back. That was a rib shot.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Rib shot.
Okay, now I got 2 coins left. I'm gonna put 1 coin here, another coin here. Now watch this. This is going up my sleeve. Watch. Goes up my sleeve. Watch this. Goes up to my shoulder.
Yeah.
If I miss my shoulder, it falls down my back into my sneaker.
Watch the mic cord now.
I know. I'm not wearing underwear. That's
all
why.
right.
Now watch. Down, and then in. Oh, wait. Sorry. It got stuck on my watch. I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
You know, I did go out and I bought a bandless watch.
A
for that-
bandless watch?
Just for that effect. It made the trick really smooth.
Nice.
I lost the watch.
Oh, yeah.
Go figure. The last coin's real different now. Last coin goes on top of my head. Gotta watch. Watch this. Okay. Where's that cup? Let's see if I can do this. There's all 4 of them. Here. Hey, nice shooting, Phil.
I felt the weight, and suddenly they were going into the cup.
See
That's
that?
great.
Anyone can do it.
And that's real money.
That's real money.
That's great.
You could actually probably get more than 50 cents out of this one.
Yeah, cup of coffee there.
That's right.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, no
Wonderful.
problem.
And later on, you're going to do another one, which is kind of a new
It's
wrinkle
kind of
here.
new.
Yeah.
I performed it at the Fringe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like it. I haven't really done it a lot to know if other people
Hey,
like it.
speaking of effects, what's the term of illusion's not the right term?
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, a magician that does illusions will be called an illusionist.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a fine word.
What do you think about these guys? We haven't talked this over, but what do you think about these guys who are kind of making a career about giving away the magic trick? I mean, you see them on TV sometimes. Sometimes they're doing stage shows, and they'll do something. The audience goes, "Wow!" and they say, it's just this," and then they show you how it's done. Is that is that going in the wrong direction for magic?
Yes. It's the same thing I told you before. People could know if they put effort out.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of, I mean, we know so much in this world living in today's environment and technological age.
Yeah.
That was not an easy one to say.
No, I think you have coin in there.
And I think it's good not to know.
Yeah.
It's good because it gives your mind a feeling of expansion, of somewhere to go that you haven't been. And there was someone on TV I saw not too long ago. I don't even know his name. He exposed some magic, but he blindfolded himself.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cheap. If he's going to do this, why don't he just be who he is?
Yeah.
And that I didn't like. But people do what they do.
Yeah. I'm with you, though. We got a couple minutes. I want you to do one more effect for us. In my life, and I've worked with magicians. I've been in troupes that magicians would work with me on stage. I have never asked how they do it. I don't want to know. And unless I was going to do it, I mean, become, with your talent, I just don't want to know. I want that to be there. I want to be amazed by people like you.
You know, I enjoy getting amazed. I mean,
Yeah.
before I even did magic, I would get real nervous watching magicians, I remember. I didn't want them to screw up. I wanted that joy.
You were with them right
I
there.
was, and you know, it's just, I don't feel that way anymore because I'm used to it now. I do it. But I remember that feeling I had watching magicians. I had trouble watching them.
Yeah.
It would just get me in my stomach.
You got one more for us?
Okay, one more. Can I
right.
stand up with this one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can do this one. I mean, we're live here, and I'll try to wing this one off. This is, I'm going to do something with these 3 ropes. It's something familiar, but different. These are actually my favorite ropes. I had them ever since they were strings. Actually, it's not the ropes that I'm fond of.
It's the
hemp.
I see.
I'm only kidding, it's not the hemp.
See, I saw you get those coins up the nose.
But what I really like is the flashbacks. Hey, they're free and legal.
This is true.
I'm still healing from the 60s.
Yeah.
You too, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
So, but you know, I don't get as many flashbacks as they said I was going to get.
How's that?
I don't know. Maybe I'm something wrong with me. But I'm sure it's going to be covered on a new health plan. So I love that banter. I'm going to just show you this effect. It's kind of subtle. It's with my 3 ropes. Okay, you got to watch now. Watch this. Watch. That's a teaser.
Yeah, I got teased.
Me too. Watch.
Yeah.
Look at that.
They linked.
Yeah.
These are ropes tied together that just linked.
Yeah, it's just the way it does it. I haven't any idea. Actually, I have one more. The 2 of them were not bad, but the last one, look at this.
It's right there.
Not bad for an old
I'm
hippie.
impressed. Not bad at all.
Well, let's see if we can get them apart now. Watch this. Getting them apart's a little harder because you gotta just kind of. Look at that. There's one.
I'm half a foot from this and I can't tell.
Yeah, that's the problem.
This is amazing.
Watch this.
Bravo. Bravo.
My new 3-rope trick.
Excellent. Magical, mystical Michael. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hope you come back to town.
Oh, I'm trying to
Well?
get something set up for the winter or whatever.
All right.
But I'd
Hope
love
to
to come
see you
back.
here in
Minnesota's
Minneapolis.
a good city for me.
Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. We're going to be back in just a moment with Janet. We're going to talk about a new gimmick, a new call-in gimmick. We want to know if you're watching the show. So Janet will be back in a moment, but first take a look at this. Now, we really do want to know if people are watching the show. Isn't that right?
We really want to
So
know.
we've been
in
doing
the worst
we've
way.
been doing the question for the last few months, and if you knew the answer, and some people have done this and won fabulous prizes.
That's right.
Well, now just read that screen. Whoever calls in their address the furthest away from this building that we tape the show in, Minneapolis City Hall, wins a fabulous prize.
We won't tell you what it is.
Uh-uh.
It's fabulous. though.
Yeah.
Trust
It's
us.
sort of, it's incredible. That's what it is.
Oh.
Wow. Okay.
Unbelievable.
I would like that. Now, if you've had any questions about what you've seen on tonight's show, you want to see more about these people, learn more about them, call the hotline here at City Cable 34, 673-2234. Somebody will answer you.
And next month, you can look for the scoop on the next big music event in town, the Minneapolis Music Expo, with event master planner Pete Rhodes and Ann Nesby from The Sounds of Blackness. Thanks for watching.
I'm Phill Lindsay.
I'm Janet Zahn.
Bye.
Is that
I
it?
hear Ann Nesby is like the next
Aretha Franklin. Yeah. Are they still on us and doing the credit thing?
They usually try and do that.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
If people knew what was in
I
it.
know.